Good evening. This is the Franklin Regional School Board regular voting meeting agenda of Monday, May 18, 2017. Salute the flag, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our mission statement. We, the Franklin Regional School community, strive for excellence, learning, achievement, and citizenship in all we do. Roll call, please.
Dr. Boylan.
Present.
Mr. Powlett.
Here.
Mrs. Ingleton Fritz, I'm sorry. Okay, here. Mr. Yingling.
Here.
Mr. Corey.
Here.
Mrs. Tower.
Here.
Mr. Sammy.
Here.
Mr. Nevin.
Here.
Mr. Harding will be joining us shortly by phone.
The first agenda item is election of treasurer as required by our Department of Education. So nominations are now in order for treasurer of this board. Do I hear any nominations?
I'll have my Joe Corey.
Again? Okay. Okay. I nominate Susan Ilgenfritz. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations for the office of treasurer? Are there any other nominations for the office of treasurer? Hearing no further nominations, the nominations for the office of treasurer are closed. Having multiple individuals nominated, I am calling for a roll call vote. The candidates are John Corey and Susan Ilgenfritz. We will have a roll call. We will have a roll call vote. The first part of the vote will be for flip coin. John, since you were nominated first. John.
No, but we set the order by the roll. When she called the order. That's the roll call.
Well, yeah, but we have two choices.
We have to vote twice.
No, you just go around and you vote.
One
You
name
call
or
the
the
person's
other.
name.
Okay, just a roll call. Just a roll call.
So you'd say which name?
You want, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So we will start with roll call vote.
Okay.
Johnny go around.
Dr. Boylan.
Susan Ilgenfritz.
Mr. Pat.
John Corey.
Mrs. Ilgenfritz. Myself, Susan Ilgenfritz. Sorry. Mr. Yingling.
John Corey, and I nominated.
I'm just going by the roll. Mr. Corey.
Susan Ilgenfritz.
Mrs. Tower.
That may be the one smart vote of the
He
evening.
gave me my choice, Susan Ilgenfritz.
Thank you, Herb.
Mr. Samick.
Susan Ilgenfritz.
Mr. Nevin.
Susan Ilgenfritz.
Susan. 2, 4, 5, 6. 6 to 2.
6 to 2. So yours is good.
He doesn't count.
Okay. Right. We have a voting and we've had a roll call vote, and the results of that are that Susan Ilgenfritz is now the treasurer of this board. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The next agenda item is for election of secretary. Nominations are now in order for secretary of this board. Do I hear any nominations? I nominate Donna Wolf.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations for the office of secretary? Are there any other nominations for the office of secretary? Hearing no further nominations, the nomination for the office of secretary are closed. Donna Wolf being the only candidate nominated for the office of secretary, I the board's president declare her elected by acclamation. Mrs. Wolf, please record in the minutes.
Can they turn up for you?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
The next agenda item is certification. It's listed certification to PSBA 217 delegates. And these are the delegates to the Pennsylvania School Board Association from this school board. Are there either any nominations or volunteers? I do have two that have.
Jeremy and.
Jeremy.
I nominate the current two.
Okay,
I second.
I second that. So we have, are there any other nominations for PSBA 217 delegates? Are there any other nominations for the PSBA's 217 delegates? Basically, there's two spots, and being the only two candidates nominated for this office, I declare that both of them by acclamation are recorded as the certificate as the 217 PSBA delegates. Congratulations.
Larry, can I just say something real quick?
Of course.
So the position that we just got nominated for is the group that approves the legislative platform for the Pennsylvania School Board Association in October. And there's also a group of 40 school board members from around the state that drafts that platform that we would then vote on in October. And I was appointed last week to be one of the 40 members for that. So that's something that all of us on the board can start thinking about now as to what sort of things we would run in that platform. And that platform is what the School Board Association lobbyists will then go and talk to our elected leaders about. So,
Jeremy, could you send us the platform for last year? So
Yes.
kind of take a look at it,
yes.
to see where we were last time. Thank you.
Congratulations. I know you will represent both us and our community very well. The next agenda item is just a notification. The board and the solicitor administration were in executive session from 6:30 to 7:15 on legal and contractual issues. The next agenda item is the superintendent report.
Thank you, Mr. President. At many of the meetings, we have students who come and we celebrate their successes as well as our staff. However, there's no board meeting that I appreciate and enjoy more than the one that we have at the end of the year where we recognize those students from Franklin Regional who have committed to moving on and serving their country in the military. And so, without much further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Jo Mellon, who will introduce our 2017 future military students.
Good evening. It's always great to bring seniors in front of you, especially seniors who have a plan. You know, for after they graduate, they know where they're going, they know what they're going to do, and they're making a commitment. It's not an easy transfer like you're going from one college to another. You're making a commitment. And so these three young men kind of stand out a bit. And since they are signed up, since they are able to speak for themselves, and since they are about to become Franklin Regional graduates, I'm going to have them stand up, introduce themselves, tell you about their plans, where they're going, what they're going to do, and what they hope to do with their future. And I think they'll say it a whole lot better than I would. All right, gentlemen, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Jake Stokin. I am going to the United States Air Force active duty to do air traffic control, and I hope to continue my job as an air traffic controller afterwards.
Hello, I'm Josh Frank. I'm going to the United States Army. I will be going active duty infantry, and then I will go further to the airborne, and then I will go to RASP for Rangers Regiment.
Hi, my name is Gus Solomon. I'm going to the United States Naval Academy next year. I plan on studying systems and weapons engineering and pursuing a career in naval aviation afterwards.
They are prepared for any question you want to ask them. Trust me, they're ready.
I'd like to ask if you know where your first duty stations are. I know where you do for Annapolis, but the first two gentlemen,
I'm undecided still.
they haven't told you where your first duty?
All I know is basic trainings in Lackland,
Lackland Air Force
San
Base.
Antonio, Texas.
I know basic is in Fort Benning, Georgia, and airborne is also in Fort Benning, Georgia.
You're making it easy on them.
We are.
All right.
All three are going to be a challenge, that's for sure. Thank you very much for your service. Thank you very much for your service. Thank you.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Sneak out right now.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And since the parents of our young gentleman also left, we want to thank them because they should be very, very proud. Thank you.
We also have two students here this evening videoing this meeting. I believe we are streaming live, right, Colton?
Back there.
Nick? Awesome. So we are streaming live as well, and this will go out over the cable broadcast. Thank you. That concludes the superintendent's report.
The next agenda item is visitors' comments. If there's anyone in the audience that has a comment, we'd like you to please stand. We'll come forward one at a time and have a seat, introduce yourself, and give us your address. Visitors' comments are reserved for 4 minutes maximum.
This would just be questions or concerns concerning the renovation of the schools. Is this the time to do that?
Would you please give us your name and your address, please?
Sure, my name's Kirk Price. I live at 5616 Maymont Road. Been there for probably 10 years or so. And I just had some general questions. You know, you just kind of hear a lot of things through the grapevine concerning the costs and the taxes and whatnot concerning the build out of the schools. So I wanted to get some clarification. First on the tax rate, the increase I should say, that we're gonna see, or at least a range of increase that you think that we might see as far as the taxes are concerned. I heard a number between 6 and 9 mils, is that, anybody?
I'm going to come back and address this, and actually, if I don't answer your question,
Maybe I can just give you a series of questions and you can answer them all.
broader comment, I will.
Why don't we do that?
You just raise your hand and I will actually read it, you'll remind me.
So that's the first one. I'm just wondering, generally speaking, you know, from numbers that I just got offline real quick, basically says our total millage that we pay in this area is approximately 122, 100 in that range as far as, no? I'm talking local, school, and county altogether. Local's 12, schools 88.5, county 21. Sound about right? So so if we look at school taxes, you're probably talking if your numbers are right, between 6 and 9 mils, you're looking at maybe a 10% increase if you come in that range. That's been 10% increase in the school rate, if you come in that range. And then my second question goes to why we're doing this to begin with. What is the utilization or you know, how much of the capacity of the schools are currently being used? How many students are going to the 3 elementary schools? How much growth room do we have for growth there? Is there a need to do this now? Why are you know, so what amount of is being utilized? You know, how many spaces are being utilized there percentage-wise? And do we need to make this move now? And then right along with that is, why not simply renovate versus spending $50 million on a first step? It's my understanding that this is just the first step. We could see, you know, other buildings built in the place of Newlandsburg and Heritage, and what are those going to cost? And then the high school renovation later on, what's that going to cost? Or tear down and rebuild, whatever. We don't know what the plans are, what those costs are going to be, and it sounds like just this first step could be a 10% raise in just the school tax if we hit that area that you guys are talking about. So I'm wondering, why not renovation? You could do a total renovation of these places and not displace the kids for, I would think, a lot less money, number one, and you could probably stagger that out so you wouldn't, you know, logistically, I think there's a lot of different ways you could do it versus shutting down schools and totally rebuilding another school, which brings me to the question of, what do you do with the kids over in Sloan while you're renovating? You're gonna have construction, you know, stuff in the air. Is it healthy for them to be there? Probably not, you know, as somebody who's been on a few construction sites. So I'm just wondering, A, is there a need to do that because of the utilization of the current schools? B, why not renovate versus go new? I think, you could do take it down to the studs and rebuild it for a lot less, I think, than you could do a brand new building. And what is the plan for the rest of, steps or phases 2, 3, and 4? And what are those costs gonna be? Because if we're thinking about if we're worried about the population growth and having kids come to the area, if that's the concern, if that's the reason why you're doing this, if we see taxes go up 40%, we're not gonna get that population growth that you're thinking about. Because, you know, many people are certainly looking at those tax rates whenever they're moving out here. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
My name is Linda Martz, and I was born and raised here in Murraysville, so I have a real vested interest in what's going on here. Last week, I had a letter published in the Penn Franklin. I don't know if you all saw it, but I'll read it to you. It's not long. It may come as a surprise, but not all the citizens of Murraysville are desirous of having some of our schools destroyed for yet another paid parking lot on the school property on School Road. A good many of us are retired and on a fixed income and not in need in having our taxes raised to have yet another school campus in the community just because some want does not meet the criteria for need. A good education, in my opinion, comes not from the building itself, but from the support and guidance of parents, teachers, and others who influence the students. I am quite sure we have had many graduates from this school district who have gone on to do greater things with their lives without all the technical devices that would seem to be the emphasis with constructing new buildings. Let's give these kids a little credit. They all have a good brain and responsible parents who can figure out what to do to further their education. I think it's unconscionable to even think about spending $53 million or more on an elementary campus when both the state and federal governments are running on deficit budgets with many unknowns in regards to funding education. Some of the buildings are old and need maintenance, but what doesn't, including any new buildings? I have learned through years of experience to always seek a second or even third opinion or estimate regarding an important financial decision. So perhaps the second or third opinion should be thought in this regard. This is not an overly affluent community, as some have come to think it is. I ask you to please be wise in your decision. So that was my letter. I will just comment further and say that as past president of the Murraysville Historical Society, Nolensburg School is an historical building, although not deemed legally. But it's a beautiful old building. It has lovely grounds and trees. Today when I went past, I thought, I would hate to see this as a big asphalt parking lot. And I'm sure the trees would be cut down too. And I don't want to see that. Secondly, I don't know if you're aware of this. There was a report between October 2003 and December 2011. The Pennsylvania Department of Education approved 70 new school construction projects and 214 renovations. All renovated school buildings must be brought up to code and will have the same life expectancy of a new school. The average cost per square foot of new schools is nearly twice the cost of renovations and additions. New schools is 197.96 square feet. Renovations, 113.12 square foot. So that was published. It was sent to all school boards in the state of Pennsylvania. It was sent to 2,800 architects and the Society of the American Institute of Architects. So I don't know if that report was included in your deliberations with the architectural firm, but I think it should have been. So I have a copy if you would like to make more copies. So anyway, I needed to say this to you because it's important to this community. You know, those of us that have lived here for a long time, we love it here. And we don't want to see our taxes increase. I mean, every year they keep going up. So there has to be some give and take here. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Hatfield. I've lived in the area 12 years. I just graduated my first child from Franklin Regional last year. And I have one in the high school and one in second grade. All of them have gone through Nolensburg, which I love. and I love the area too. But I have had the privilege of serving both on the high school and the Nolensburg PTOs as an officer in both cases. I have had the privilege of visiting South Fayette and other schools with some of you. and I have attended all of the town hall meetings and learned a lot about what's going on. And I just wanted to say that I think as I visited South Fayette, I left there thinking that my second grader is not getting the education that she needs. And it's not just curriculum. I know that that's what's going to come next. Well, if we just change the curriculum. We cannot change the curriculum without having the ability to do the work. Some of these places had wonderful stream rooms where they could do projects, they could leave them out, they could use electricity from every desk. The things that they were doing in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade were absolutely incredible and far above what our kids are doing, not just curriculum-wise, but just the facilities. And that doesn't say anything for natural lighting, comfortable setting, and I mean, it was amazing. There is no one that is going to be transferred to Pittsburgh that's going to visit South Fayette and visit Franklin Regional and choose Franklin Regional, looking at the facilities. There just isn't. I think that's it.
Thank you for your comments.
Ross Eaton. Do you need to know my address?
Yes, please.
That's the way it works here. Yeah, I live at 4002 Murray Highland Circle, Murraysville, Pennsylvania, 15668, in case you didn't know. I have twin sons who are in 3rd grade at Newlandsburg. And my wife and I moved into the area about 9 years ago, specifically because we were looking at communities with good school districts. So Franklin Regional had, and I think still has, a very good and deserved reputation for being a good school district. I wanted to, first of all, start my comments by saying that I was really impressed with the feasibility study that was conducted. I thought that you guys were very thorough. I thought that you considered an awful lot of options and really thought about the issues and concerns that went into making this decision. And I say that in part because a lot of the concerns and a lot of the comments and a lot of the issues that I've heard brought up since attending the first feasibility study meeting, and especially now as the actual options are being laid on the table, a lot of the concerns I saw addressed through the feasibility study. A lot of questions that I have heard come up repeatedly since the last meeting where the options were presented. The only response I could give was, well, I wish you'd attended the town hall meetings because we spent a half hour, an hour talking about just that issue. So I wanted to compliment you guys because I think you did a good job of anticipating the concerns and the issues that were going to come up. With all that said, I want to speak today to support, express my support for the planned elementary school campus at Sloan. I have 4 real main reasons for that, and I'll try to breeze through them really quickly so that you guys don't take too long. First, I think the flexibility that this plan will provide at the main campus can't be overstated. The footprints of the middle school and high school, if I understand correctly, cannot be expanded as things currently stand. Given the fact that the demographic study that you conducted as part of the feasibility study suggests that we're going to see increased enrollment, given the fact that we're currently storing musical instruments in the hallways of the high school because there is no storage room, indicates to me that we are going to need to expand the footprints of the middle school and the high school in the future, and therefore we're going to have to get rid of some buildings at the main campus in order to do that. This is the plan that accomplishes that. My second reason for supporting this plan is that it provides for more efficient use of our shared resources. I want to give 3 examples. First of all, if we have all students together in one elementary school, for example from 3rd to 5th grade, we can do more graduated math options that better fit the varying pace of learning across the academic spectrum. Rather than just having a 3rd grade, a 4th grade, a 5th grade, we could envision having a 3rd grade, a class of kids who are ready for sort of the 3rd and 4th grade curriculum at the same time. We could even have advanced mathematics happening at the elementary school. We wouldn't have to bus our students all the way to the middle school for them to, for example, take a 6th grade math class in 5th grade. It's going to better serve the students. A second point, at one of the town hall meetings, a teacher gave this really what I thought was a powerful statistic. She said that reading problems that are caught and addressed before the end of 2nd grade result in about 80% success of that student catching up to grade level reading. She said that reading problems that are caught between the 3rd and 5th grade ultimately only have about a 20% chance of having that student catch up to appropriate grade level reading. We can put reading specialists in a dedicated K-2 building at Sloan, and we can address the right population and get the resources where they need to be to benefit the students. Finally, there are 3 elementary schools and there are only 2 gifted teachers in our district for elementary schools. There are kids who are going without enrichment education some days of the week, and we don't have to do that. If we have a plan like this, we can better serve our students. My third reason for supporting is that the teachers I've spoken to support this plan. On the subject of education, the teachers are very important and knowledgeable stakeholders. They know what happens day to day in the classroom. When I went to a school visit, I saw teachers' eyes light up when they saw classrooms, when they saw small group instruction rooms, when they saw book rooms for grade levels. The teachers were excited. Since then, I've heard teachers talking about how they want to do group instruction, how they want to do leverage those shared resources, and when the teachers are excited, they do more for the students. I think that's what we want to see. Fourth, this plan sets us up for the future. We can expand the middle school and the high school, as I said. We can make sure that the elementary schools are the right size for the increased enrollment. We can provide facilities for the teachers to give the instruction of tomorrow that's individualized, that incorporates technology, and that leverages the best resources for the most students. Investing in education doesn't just drive up property values, it also ensures the vibrance of the community in the future. Tomorrow's doctors, engineers, and entrepreneurs are in school now. Murraysville can build a pipeline for future community leaders, or we can let the schools crumble and we can watch the community follow suit in the years to come. So we have to do something, and I think our choice is to either build for the future of our community or to pass the buck. And I think we need to invest in education in Murraysville, make Franklin Regional Western Pennsylvania's education leader.
Thank you for your comments.
Ready for me?
I am. So we were just trying to reconnect with our school board member who's actually out of the country.
That's quite all right.
He's passionate about being here this year. But you may go ahead.
Okay.
Could you introduce yourself and
Yes.
your address, please?
My name is Stan Chain. I live at 110 Manor Road in Belmont. So I've been at a couple of meetings, especially the fourth one, and I agree something needs to be done. I'm not anti-school. I'm not pro-new school. I have children in the district. You guys are elected to drive the education for the district. Kind of leave it up to you guys. The concern that I have, though, is the cost. We had a couple of people, I think you quoted 88. I saw 90.99 for the millage for the school district. There's been an increase every year since 2003 on the school district tax. I think you guys were like $1 million short on your budget this past year, or proposed budget, and there's going to be another 2.3 or whatever the max is millage increase for next year. So I just want to know where the funds are coming from, how everything is going to be addressed, because you can be the best school district in Pennsylvania, but if you don't have the parents and the kids to support that school because they're not moving in because of the taxes, you're kind of undercutting the whole purpose of building the school. So yeah, 1.75. You guys are like 1.85 or 1.75 million each year is paid now for the current debt, and I heard the number of 5.1 to 4 million, depending on how the borrowing is set up for this new school. So we're going to be paying 6 to 7 million in debt. I mean, there's a lot of money that money can be spent on education as well. So I think that whenever you're looking at your costs, please weigh that into the consideration here. And there's a lot of people that pay a lot of taxes in this district. So I think that that all has to be considered. And I would like to see balanced budgets, but maybe that's another meeting discussion that I'll have to come to. So. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next agenda item, seeing no other visitors, is approval of the minutes. The regular voting, there are two sets of minutes to be approved. One is the regular voting meeting of April 10th, 2017, and the second is the Committee of the Whole meeting of May 1st, 2017.
So moved.
Second? Second. Okay, any discussion or comments or corrections? We're going to have a vote to approve both sets of minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Carries 9-0. The next agenda item is upcoming topics from Dr. Perano.
Under upcoming topics, we have 2017-2018 bill paying resolution, pre-approval of July bills, non-contracted support positions, appointments and contracts, 2017 homestead and farmstead exclusion resolution, the final budget approval, budget transfers, gifts, grants, and donations, proposed school board meeting schedule for the 2017-2018 school year, SPHS Behavioral Health Drug and Alcohol Case Management Memorandum of Agreement, News Story ESY agreement, the Children's Institute ESY agreement, policy review, second read, and personnel. Future dates, May 18, 2017, Act 48 meeting here in the administrative offices beginning at 4 p.m. On May 24, 2017, Finance Committee meeting at the administrative offices beginning at 1:30 p.m. June 5, 2017, Committee of the Whole meeting, and that will be at the Murrysville Municipal Building at 7:30 p.m. June 7, 2017, Policy Committee meeting at the administrative offices beginning at 5:30 p.m. And June 19, 2017, that will be the regular voting meeting, again at the Murrysville Municipal Building at 7:30 p.m. And that includes upcoming future dates and upcoming topics.
Next agenda item is approval of financial reports. There are two components of this. One is the treasurer's report of reports, of March 2017 and April 2017. They're by separate attachment. And the second is the list of bills. Bills to be approved summary for May 2017. Paid bills, general fund, $2,880,067.73. Athletic fund, $5,415.96. Total of paid bills, $2,885,483.69. Unpaid bills, general fund, $971,495.89. Technology fund, $6,807. Capital Reserve Fund, $109,331.36. And Athletic Fund, $29,315.99. A total of unpaid bills, $1,116,950.24. A grand total of $4,204,33.93. In addition, we have food service for $244,835.59. That is a grand total, including food service, of $4,247,269.52.
So moved.
Second. Second. Any comments or corrections? We'll have a voice vote. We are approving 2 months' worth of treasury reports and the list of bills. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? The next is the consent agenda items. We'll need a motion to approve the consent agenda items except those that are removed by the board. And the board president is going to remove consent agenda items 1 and 2 for independent discussion. And because I'm going to request that each of those has a independent roll call vote. So we will now move on to approving consent agenda items 3 through 26.
I'll make a motion to approve agenda items 3 through 26.
Second.
Any corrections or comments? Okay, we will have a voice vote. All those in favor of approving consent agenda items 3 through 26?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Those approved? Opposed? Carries. Again, there were two components of my original comment. The first one does not need a vote. The rules are that any board member can request a roll call vote. But I am now going to ask to open consent agenda item 1 for discussion. I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm going to really open this discussion by something which is applicable really to both of the agenda items, and that's why I'm going to do it now. I could repeat this when we open the discussion for the second one, but I think I will defer that. So I'm going to attempt to give an overview of some of the highlights, and I hope answer as many questions, clarify questions, okay? The goals of the administration and the school board are to provide 21st century learning experience adaptable to individual students' learning needs, utilizing the environment and technology to complement and enhance our professional staff. We believe that facilities improvements are needed to match that educational vision. Our goal is to maintain and improve the safety of our students, our staff, and our faculty. We have a goal to improve traffic flow and parking. We have a goal to expand and enhance athletic and health facilities for all the students and for our community. We plan and have ongoing a continual analysis and planning for the needs of the middle school and the high school. And a particular emphasis is the introduction of technical classes and laboratories in the elementary, middle school, and high school. It is our goal to enhance and expand the arts. So our decision tonight is regarding Phase 1. The key target dates for the Sloan Elementary campus would be tonight to accept in Agenda Item 1, district-wide facility study recommendation. The second issue is to vote tonight on Agenda Item 2 on the architectural and engineering design services to develop Sloan into an elementary school campus. And remember, we are talking about design services, okay? And this is that step. With all that work that will have to be completed, we anticipate going to bid for construction issues in August of 2018. If we were to approve this and we go to bid at that point, our anticipated date of construction would be July of 2020. We are not neglecting the vision and the concerns and the needs beyond the K through 5. Our decision Phase 2 and beyond. This is a multi-year, campus-wide plan to upgrade or replace facilities. We definitely, as previous boards, have maintained and have a strong view of repair patch, but we want to consider the ability to provide new and expanded educational needs and also balance the cost for the taxpayer. Mr. Corey and I and others have broken this down into 4 components, sort of, and it may be our view of breaking things down, but again, I think it'll help. The first, there are 4 components: education, physical aspect, community, and cost. Educational aspect. These items, if approved, the goal is to establish an elementary campus maximizing human resources and efficiency by concentrating our K through 5 faculty and staff and special needs in teachers on one campus, permitting increased student contact time. We'll create a separate K through 2, grade 3 for 5 building, resulting in unique elementary academic spaces that will improve instruction and learning opportunities across the curriculum and address 21st century educational needs while maintaining that each student has their own particular individual needs to achieve. We want to provide educational equity to all the Franklin Regional elementary students. And as many of you know who were at this town hall meetings, this was a major issue that we unexpectedly, I think, really found this to be one of the positives. Physical aspect. We want to eliminate the congestion and parking problems on the main campus. We want to separate buses and autos to improve safety. We hope to mitigate changes in the bus routes by improving drop-off and pickup design, as well as using the software we have to reroute buses so that our children in all areas of our community spend as little time as they can. We want to free up space on the main campus for potential middle school, high school, and athletic facilities, either renovations and/or additions. The emphasis, again, as in previous, the first part of this was on improving laboratory, technical, and performing arts spaces. One of the things that this proposal will do, if it's approved, will allow simultaneous evening events on the elementary and main campus, something that we would find at this point to be, gridlock would be a nice way of saying it. Community aspect. The Sloan Elementary campus addresses expected future increase in our elementary school population as determined by the study that you have all had the privilege of hearing, as we did, from a professional demographer who studied, whose career is to look at birth rates in migration of young families. We want to consolidate K-5 on the elementary campus, freeing up space on the main campus for potential athletic field house, which could provide increased community opportunities. The Sloan campus performing arts area is to be designated for community use. Excuse me. Cost aspect. Maintaining existing buildings neither addresses the anticipated Franklin Regional Education vision nor the program enhancements. Approximately $32 million is the estimate to maintain the 3 Franklin Regional Elementary buildings over the next 5 to 10 years. It is our assessment that the majority of these predicted elementary building maintenance costs will be avoided by implementing the Sloan Elementary campus recommendation. The estimated cost of both Sloan School renovation and the new K-5 grade elementary building is, and this is an estimate, $53.7 million. Financing through a variety of mechanisms, including long-term, multi-year bonds. The debt service for Phase 1, using today's data and best projections, is an estimated increase rate of between 4.5 and 4.6% over the life of the loan. The yearly average increase would be 1.0 to 1.3 mils in years 1 through 5, phased in over the 5 years. The total cost calculated from the taxes on the median homeowner over 5 years is $170. This is my caveat on this because the next part is unpredicted, but there's certainly something that we know of this. But Phase 1 cost impact equals construction cost less the yearly budget savings from the canceled maintenance on the existing buildings. And that doesn't, so whatever we save, okay, isn't even in this issue of the cost of these buildings because we will not have spent it on these old buildings. And our estimate on that, again, is, I've already mentioned to you. The debt service is to be determined by a number of factors. Funding can be by long-term multi-year bonds, existing fund balance, foundation donors, come on out of the woods, okay? The PA funds, and this is a caveat, if the Pennsylvania Plan Con successor is even recreated and or funded, okay? And finally, real estate millage increases. So that's my overview, and as it opened the comment section, and if there are any other comments from board members or questions, we will share them with each other. We're looking across the tables. John, do you have any comments or questions?
No, I just have one question, comment. And I obviously, Dr. Boyer and I worked on those thoughts together today. The one I'd like to really emphasize is one of the things I think this board has been successful at doing is not doing facility design for facility sake. You know, that is a path we worked hard not to go down, just to change the buildings in the future so you have a nice building. What's driving this whole thing is what the current, over the last several years, educational vision is that Franklin Regional School District already has. So when we talk about laboratories, arts, those kinds of facility changes in the elementary schools and potentially in the middle school and the high school, we already have the roadmap for what we want to do. It's being implemented, unfortunately, in more very small spaces in existing buildings today. And as you've heard Mr. Suvak talk about before at the town hall meetings, we can do what we can do, but the vision already exists for, if we have this additional space, additional laboratories, additional innovative, creative spaces, the school district already knows with Project Lead Away and other things that are already in development and underway, the building is going to match that vision and not the reverse. And that's really important to us.
I think there's one other comment that's probably worth mentioning about the disruption to current students. No matter what we do, Sloan is going to have some sort of work done on it, and obviously the students there are going to have some level of disruption, but the current option seems to provide the kids that are going to be at the other two elementary schools a level where they're not going to be disrupted at all when a new building is being built. So I think it's going to be really helpful during the course of building where those other two elementary schools aren't going to have any disruption during the building time.
That's a very good point.
And I think as a complement to that, but expanding it to possible phase 2 issues, or even just, I mean, renovation or putting a new lab or whatnot, at least for a very temporary period of time, this building will potentially be available to move students, not be classrooms perhaps, and I'm saying speculation. If there's a need to, we have a place that's safe, secure, and warm, okay? If there's building being done in classrooms or renovations in the high school, and I'm going to just say high school and middle school because we really have, we're trying to look at everything, but the high school has a significant need. And there are very few schools apparently and that have that, the fortune to have something like this in this level of how we're doing it in this staging, to actually be able to say that we're doing this to try to minimize the disruption for any of our students during their educational process. Are there any other questions or comments from the board? We are still on the consent agenda item 1. And if I see no other comments, I'm going to have a motion to close discussion.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor of closing discussion?
Aye.
Aye. So we will now have a roll call vote on the consent agenda item 1, which is just to accept the district-wide facility study recommendation. Number 3, K2 as additions and alterations project in Sloan, new 3 to 5. Okay? So we will have a roll call vote on those who approve of accepting the recommendation.
You need a motion in the second, Mr. President.
Sorry.
You need a motion.
Okay, I'm sorry. We need a motion to start a roll call vote.
Second.
Okay. Thank you. You beat Dennis. Okay.
I did.
Okay.
The original motion.
Okay. So now I believe we can have a roll call vote. Is that correct?
Thank you.
Correct.
Okay.
Dr. Borland,
Yes.
Mr. Pavlik,
Yes.
Mrs. Zildjian-Fritz. Yes. Mr. Yingling,
Yes.
Mr. Corey,
Yes.
Mrs. Tower,
Yes.
Mr. Salmon,
Yes.
Mr. Nevin,
Yes.
Mr. Harding. George?
Yes, we will.
Did I lose him again? George?
I vote yes.
Thank you.
6-hour time delay.
Sorry. We're going to item number 2.
president had moved to pull consent agenda item number 2. There were 2 comments. One, that it would have a roll call vote. And I'm making a motion that we open this for discussion and comments from the board.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So consent agenda item 2, which is the architecture and engineering design for the Sloan Elementary campus. It's open for discussion or comments from any board members.
There's nothing new here. I mean, this is in line with the current contract that we have.
What's the total cost of this going to be for the architect and engineer?
I mean, for just the design
This
services?
is the thing we're voting on.
It's on an hourly basis to do the design, and I don't have, Mr. Beck would have that number, I don't have the number exactly, but.
It's actually 6% of the construction.
But that's if we do the whole thing, right.
Right.
But if we didn't do the whole thing, I think that's what he was asking, Dennis was asking. Is that what you were asking?
Yes.
If you would not finalize the project and do the project, then there would be an hourly fee that is discussed in the contract to pay for those services.
Right. I don't know what that number is. It's in our prior contract with the architect engineer.
So this is a prior contract that we've approved, and I can't remember that.
That's correct. And I did this week, knowing that this was on the agenda, go back and review that to make sure it was consistent, and it is.
Right.
Well, then the cost then, if we do go with the project,
It's 6%.
6% of what it costs.
Correct.
Well, then, I guess, we're hiring for professional services, but, when I hire a real estate agent to sell my house, I get 6% of the price to sell the house. I want that, but my house is gonna be higher. I'm not sure that, what controls we have then to show that we're not getting extra stuff to.
There's many controls that this board would control that, the administration, my office, looking at what they plan. Again, when we look at what is developed, if there are things in there that any of those groups would be in a disagreement, there's the possibility to discuss the construction management services, and we'd have a construction manager also looking at that. So I think that the main control, in my opinion, is this school board, to make sure that we're getting a building that's built, that is cost effective, and is designed in the way that the board and the administration feels appropriate.
There are going to be individual submittals from the architect engineer to the board that comes to the board for approval. So we will have control of that.
And not even to elaborate what was an enormous listing of timelines and interviews, but ongoing and with both educators, administration, and whatnot as to our needs. And realistic needs is the assessment that we have to come up with as a board. We make the final decision on that.
I guess if they come in and says, I have a $70 million building. I don't know that number. Yeah. $52.5 million. What do you use correct numbers when we try to exaggerate for illustrative purposes, that turns into a disaster because it sticks in people's head. So he comes in with a $53 million building, and we say, we really, when we look at this, we really want to cut this out, cut that out. Now it's $45 million. So does that mean the 6% then is based on the $45 million?
That's correct.
Okay, so we could cut that out. And you're the architect, you're wiggling your head back there. I want to make sure that's the architect, so we want to make sure that he understands. Okay.
Now, the way we're going to do this, we're going to have option pricing in the contract. Correct. We'll bid certain things, so that they are separated out, and we can decide as when we get the bids, do we want to put this in or not put it in. It's not just going to be one big price for the whole thing. We can have certain different auditorium, whatever. We're going to get a recommendation from the architect, and we have our say-so before it goes out for bid. We want separate prices for different aspects.
Okay, so you're going to come up with, the architect's going to come up with a set of prices. He's going to come up with a set of specs.
Design specs.
And those are kind of like preliminary things that you would do?
You'll have a process here that will take you over the next year, so you'll be doing
pieces of it at a time. So you will slowly graduate to a scope that is pre-final, that you will be ultimately getting public bids for.
Okay.
So it's a long process with a lot of conversation
Now, is it,
and pricing along the way.
and it's 6% of whatever the bids come in at?
That's correct.
Whatever we decide to go forward.
Whatever we decide to go forward with.
That's correct, because you may have some alternates, as Mr. Corey said, that could make that price higher or lower. A good example is, I did a project a few years ago that the drywall in the building, there were two different types of drywall, and that cost fluctuated. It was a large project, fluctuated the amount of the bids, and the board made that decision once they got the bid, which direction they wanted to go. There'll be a number of alternates potentially in this program that the board may have to make decisions on in the future.
Just as a comment, we're going to be really, you thought we were busy up to this point? This is an enormous task. And members of this board and the administration staff have certainly shown that they're going to do it. And again, I have one who's so passionate about this, he's calling in from overseas. So we do want, if we do this, we want to do it right and do it as cost effective as we can.
This is the timeline for just the first year. All the things that are going to be coming from the architect engineer to us.
And what is your hourly rate then if we?
Well, it isn't actually done hourly. It's done, the fee is broken up into pieces as you're, dependent upon the phase that you're in. So the overall 6% fee is broken down into 15% and 20% and 40% and so forth. And so it's a gradual thing that we'll be doing together.
So if we stop at any point, then we pay you up to that point?
That's exactly correct. You
Oh,
only
okay,
pay for what you use.
Okay.
I guess I have a
So
question.
that's why it's not, that's why it can't be an hourly number.
That's right. You would lose anyway. We spent 14,000 hours.
Okay, no, I understand that, but I mean, it was just, when you use the term hourly rate, people say, why can't you tell me the dollar? I know what I make per hour, you know what I'm saying? I think, but then what you're saying, it's a phased, so if we go through, and I'm familiar with what you're talking about. Now you
So
don't say
say
hourly rate.
schematic design is the first phase that
Right, because we build I do a lot of government projects. And it's kind of like, okay, you're going to pay us for this, and if you guys cancel a project, that's your termination cost up to this point.
That's correct.
All right.
And Gary has all that outlined in the contract.
Yeah, and that's a contract that the board approved several months ago. So there's a section of that now, today, we're moving forward on.
It was just that hourly cost thing.
And I apologize.
No, that thing just totally threw me way off, because I remember reading that in the contract, it's like, here's the phase thing, and then this whole dollars per hour thing just, sorry, kind of ricocheted off into the.
Well, you served to correct us all. Thank you.
I guess I do have a question. Will there be checks or an overview along the way so that, say that we're feeling really generous at the beginning when the first phase is and we really like the higher bid, then we might be over our balance and have to shortcut toward the end? Is there gonna be like, you know what I mean?
That's up to the board, I have to say.
We need to keep in mind the whole.
You're gonna put a
amount.
scope together as time goes on, but at the end, each one of those areas could have alternate bids. So an A, B, and a C for the same thing. When we get the bids in at the end, that is when you make the decision, do we wanna use A in this category,
But
B
that's
in a
gonna be
different, and
try
you'll,
different things, my point, so that if you front load or if you go heavier in one, will we then find that we
you'll still at the end be able to choose any of those. Because you're not gonna have to decide at the beginning. What you'll do at the beginning is say, for this portion, these are gonna be a few alternates. For this portion, there'll be a few, so then when the bids come in, you go back and look at them and say, okay, now we know if we did everything to the A decision, let's just say that that's the most expensive on every category. That project is we're spending more than we would like to, then you can go back and choose where you
so
want
I
to
just
make that
wanted
decision.
those checks built in so we have an
There will be
opportunity
checks
to-
built in.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me?
Before you break ground, you do all that.
Oh, that's correct, that's during the design, during the bid specifications.
mean, is,
Before we award.
if we look at,
I thought you
if we look at that, which is.
Oh, no,
again,
no.
We didn't
It's
put a shovel
before
on the ground.
contracts are awarded.
Okay, that's, yeah, I was just envisioning.
I mean, if we-
We're short of money.
It'll all be, we'll get another round of vote.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, once we're moving forward, it'll be every month that there'll be a discussion about issues,
This is.
Or more often.
or more often, daily.
And that's why I commented our goal is for bids for August 2/18. I mean, we've got 15, 16 months where this whole architectural and engineering design is going to be going on with input and direction from the board and all the users. And we're still open for, you know, as we have been in the town halls, you know, input. If we miss something, we want to know. Tell us, okay, if that's where we go.
Dr. Borland, if I can interject,
Go for it.
all of the school board meetings are open meetings. My cell phone number is sitting on the website, so is everybody else's here. This is the beginning of a conversation that we've worked a year and a half to get to. And that conversation is going to continue to be open with my neighbors. And I would hope that we would continue to get input between now and August of 18 and beyond on a regular basis.
Sure. Board members, are there any other comments or questions for each other or anyone we need to address? Could I entertain a motion to close discussion?
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor of closing discussion on consent agenda item 2, architectural and engineering design?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Now, I believe now I need a motion to move to a roll call vote.
Motion to approve number 2.
To approve 2, I'm sorry,
So
I did it again.
Make a motion to
To
approve
approve
number
two.
2, roll call vote.
Second.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor of consent agenda item 2 being up for approval, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and we will have a roll call vote on consent agenda item number 2.
Dr. Borland?
Yes.
Mr. Pavlik?
Yes.
Mrs. Zildjian-Fritz? Yes. Mr. Dingley?
Yes.
Mr. Corey?
Yes.
Mrs. Tower?
Yes.
Mr. Samick?
Yes.
Mr. Nevin?
Yes.
Mr. Harding?
Yes.
Thank you. 9-0.
Thank you, George, for your long-distance call. We're now going to move to new business. There are 2 items. First is policy review, accelerated first read. Hello.
Good evening.
And accelerated, would you define why this is accelerated?
So the 3 policies being presented tonight, these are accelerated first reads simply because these are policies we must actually have go into effect July 1st. And this is based on recent legislation on these topics. The first one is policy 203, immunizations for communicable diseases, policy 204, attendance, and policy 246, school wellness. Any questions?
Yeah, I have, you might expect I have a question on school wellness.
Always.
You knew
That's
I
all
would.
right.
You knew I would. I just would like to get into the record, and you may not know right now, but there's a couple of kind of advanced dates for things to get done. So it says superintendent and the wellness committee shall conduct an assessment at least once every 3 years. So when's that 3 years up, so we'll get that report? You don't have to answer it right now.
Right, those are quick questions though.
Yeah, then there's another one that says, the district shall annually inform and update the public, and others in the community about the contents, updates, and implementation of this policy via the district website. So again, that'd be like a when.
Right.
And then there's, on the top of the third page, it refers to an advisory health council annual report. So I was trying to figure out what is, I mean, that was the first time I saw that term in this. So is that the wellness committee? Is that what?
It is the, yeah, it's the wellness.
Okay, so we just change that.
We can definitely correct that term.
That's it. So if you can just let us know when those other two dates are.
Absolutely.
Somewhere in the near future. Not tonight.
And I believe that might also even be covered in wellness committee.
I think we talked about this once
Yeah.
before, and we were trying to nail that down.
Right, and that's, so they're good questions that we're going to bring up there.
That's all I.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Good other than
Just
that.
for the wellness committee work, it said, in the text, it says that it has to, the wellness committee has to serve as the advisory committee. I don't know why they do that, but.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, it's kind of an odd, we were talking about that at the committee meeting too. It's,
Okay.
but some of it's just based on legislation, and so.
Oh, so that's a legislative term?
Yeah.
Whatever, okay. I just was curious when I read that, I did a double take on
It's
it.
weird, yeah. It's in the, it cites to the code,
Oh,
CFR, Code of Federal Regulations, but those also could be changing soon, because I think some of the Code of Federal Regulations are based on what happened in the past 8 years. And now, a lot, even in the news, I think just in the past month, some of those food regulations have been rescinded, and so expect to see this one again in the next probably couple months, whenever PSBA gets around to.
Well, kudos to you guys for doing all these. I mean, you've done so many over the last year, it's amazing.
It's unfortunate. There is no gods that live in Washington DC. They're infallible, none. And there's certainly changes. I mean, the nutrition issues are what was anathema yesterday or a year ago, been changed. And I think it's reflecting, to some degree, some of the ongoing findings in medical research that they were so certain, were absolutely positive, and now they're changing their mind. So it's interesting. But we do have to follow their regulations and advisements. Are there any other questions on accelerated first read? Because what we will be doing is we will, after we have a discussion of the second agenda item, we will have a vote on approving these tonight because we have no choice time-wise. No other?
No other questions? Okay. Next item would be under personnel being added to the table. I have 5 items under certified personnel, 1 item under support personnel, and 7 items under supplemental personnel. Any questions? Thank you very much.
I will ask again before you go away, are there any questions from the board on these two new business consent agenda items? Well, we're just approving the first read.
That's
So we
correct.
vote on that next month. Correct.
Policy and personnel.
They are approved first reads.
I'll make a motion to approve policy and personnel.
Second. Okay. We will have a voice vote. All those in favor of approving these consent agenda items so that they can move forward for a final vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It passes. The final issue is adjournment. Motion to adjourn, and we are adjourned.